News: two men found guilty of murder in the killing of Run DMC's Jam Master Jay. Jurors found Carl Jordan Jr., Jay's godson, and Ronald Washington, Jay's childhood friend, guilty on all counts.
Years after the death of Jam Master Jay, one-third of the legendary hip-hop trio Run DMC, a jury has found two men guilty of his murder.
February 2024, a Queens courtroom finally broke the silence. Two men stood guilty for the murder of Jam Master Jay more than 2 decades after he was killed in cold blood. For years, the streets buzzed with whispers. Fear locked down witnesses, and the story twisted into connections with Queens politics and the shocking ambush on 50 Cent, riddled with 9 bullets months earlier. To understand the depth, you gotta revisit the night the truth was buried with Jay.
2002, Jason Mizell, also known as Jam Master Jay of the legendary hip-hop group Run DMC, was murdered in cold blood in his recording studio in Queens, New York. Now, it's taken more than 20 years, but today, a jury in this courthouse found Carl Jordan Jr. and Ronald Washington guilty of murder.
The jury's decision landed like a thunderclap. Carl Jordan Jr., Jay's own godson, now 40, was convicted alongside Ronald Washington, 59, an old friend who'd been staying at Jay's sister's house. Then came the explosion. Washington yelled, "You all just killed 2 innocent people." The gallery erupted with curses, while Jordan stayed cool, turning to say, "I love you all." For 22 years, the truth was frozen in fear, until that moment. But this case was bigger than one verdict. Jay wasn't just Run DMC's DJ, he was a mentor, the man who introduced 50 Cent to the studio. He taught him timing, bars, hooks, and gave him the blueprint for greatness. Yet the shadow lingered.
Gibson, both men standing trial for the 2002 murder of the Run DMC superstar, found guilty on all charges.
Months before Jay's murder, that same protege was nearly killed in a storm of bullets. He survived 9 shots, and the game never stopped asking if that bloodshed was tied to Jay's own death. 2 tragedies, 2 legends, and rumors that refused to die. The shadow between 50 Cent's brush with death and Jam Master Jay's murder has haunted hip-hop for years. When the verdict finally dropped, 50 made his feelings clear with one cold Instagram post. "Well, that's all, folks. R.I.P. Jam Master Jay." A shrug emoji, nothing more. To understand that weight, you gotta rewind to a rainy night in Queens, October 2002. Inside the 24/7 studio, Jay sat relaxed, controller in hand, playing a video game with Uriel Tony Rincon.
Taking the life of the man known as Jam Master Jay, his real name, Jason Mizell, one of the founders of the groundbreaking rap group Run DMC.
Across the room, his manager, Lydia High, flipped through paperwork. Everything felt normal until the setup unfolded. Someone had already cracked open the fire escape door. That man, later named as Jay Bryant, slipped away unseen, but left the path wide open. Moments later, Carl Jordan Jr., Jay's godson, and Ronald Washington, an old friend, crept upstairs. Jay welcomed them with the warmth only family gets. A half handshake, a smile.
Mr. Jay was working in a recording studio here in Jamaica. He and a 25-year-old male Hispanic were relaxing in a lounge near the studio when a man walked into the studio, gun drawn, and opened fire. Mizell was struck once in the head and killed.
But seconds later, trust turned fatal. Jordan pulled the trigger. Jay barely got out a word before the bullet struck his head. He collapsed instantly. Another shot tore into Rincon's leg, leaving him bleeding. Washington pointed his gun at Lydia, forcing her face down, frozen with fear. Rincon, stunned and injured, gave police nothing. The shooters disappeared as quickly as they came. 4 cameras in the building proved useless, and despite being only a short walk from the 103rd precinct, no clear footage ever surfaced. The killers left behind silence, and the streets stayed colder than the rain that night. Tanya Edwards, a receptionist working nearby, remembered a chilling detail. She saw a woman in a floppy brown hat guiding a man in a velour tracksuit toward the studio right before the shots. At first, she thought it was Lydia High. Years later, she admitted she wasn't certain. What followed was no robbery, no random hit. It was an execution carried out by faces Jay knew. Queens buzzed with shock, but inside the studio, fear ruled.
Focus on witnesses and security cameras. The studio where Jay was shot is outfitted with several security cameras, but did they capture the killer?
The only real witnesses, Lydia High and Uriel Tony Rincon, said almost nothing. Their silence mirrored the code of the streets. Just like the murders of Tupac and Biggie, the case slipped into rumor, gossip, and theories while the truth stayed buried. Prosecutors later revealed the obvious. The witnesses were terrified. They knew the killers and believed speaking up would cost their lives. In that neighborhood, everyone knew the rule. Snitches get stitches. Testifying meant risking the same fate as Jay. At first, Lydia and Rincon even lied. They softened what they saw, leaving out names. It took until 2017, nearly 15 years later, before Rincon finally recanted and pointed to Carl Jordan Jr. as the shooter. By then, the trail was ice cold. Even the cameras told no story.
The killer passed a total of 4 security cameras on the way to the murder, at the door, up the stairs, and in the hallway leading to the studio, pulled a .40 caliber gun, put on a ski mask, and knocked over a woman as he opened the door. He then fired 3 shots, killing Mizell and injuring 25-year-old Ureco Rincon.
4 security systems were useless. Footage missing, equipment disabled. To Jay's brother Randy Allen, the conclusion was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just murder. It was an inside setup. Fear, loyalty, and betrayal froze this case in time. It took decades before anyone found the nerve to crack the silence. In Queens, rumor filled the void where facts were missing. Jay's murder became the ultimate street theory, whispered from barbershops to corner blocks. The loudest story? That his death was tied to Kenneth Supreme McGriff, the drug boss who ruled Queens in the 80s and 90s. And right in the middle stood his former protege, 50 Cent. McGriff's crew, the Supreme team, had a reputation carved in blood. By the 2000s, his name was still dangerous to mention. Years before, 50 had sparked his fury by naming names in Ghetto Quran, calling out Queens street business. Months later, 50 was ambushed outside his grandmother's home, shot 9 times and left for dead.
Amazing, talent. He loved everybody. He could never say no, because he just didn't push people away. He loved everybody, and he just couldn't say no. And I think that this contributed to this, where we're at today.
Many said McGriff called the hit. He survived, but the music world turned its back. Labels kept their distance, but Jam Master Jay stayed solid. He brought 50 into the studio when others wouldn't touch him. That act of loyalty caught federal attention. But was Jay punished for siding with 50 against the wrong people? Murder Inc., the label rumored to be tied to McGriff, was accused of intimidation to block 50's rise. McGriff denied everything, saying he didn't even know 50 and never met Jay. Eventually, investigators dropped him as a prime suspect, but still, the damage lingered. His name became welded to the case, another ghost hanging over Jay's murder. And when rumors didn't stop with McGriff, they spread elsewhere.
1980s. But years later, his fame was fading, and the money was running out, so he turned to trafficking, according to prosecutors.
One story accused Jay's partner, Randy Allen, of cashing in on a $500,000 life insurance policy. Police looked, but found nothing solid. Other whispers blamed grudges, debts, betrayals. The theories stacked higher, but the truth stayed hidden. Curtis Schoon's name floated in the rumor mill too. Whispers said he ordered the hit over a debt. Schoon denied it flat out, insisting Jay had squared up years earlier. Detectives never found anything to prove otherwise. Then came another tale, more tabloid than truth. Street chatter claimed McGriff was involved with Jay's wife, Terry, but the story crumbled under any real look.
Al had also been selling cocaine, and in August of 2002, he received 10 kilograms on consignment to sell in the Maryland area.
At the time, McGriff was under heavy federal surveillance, and there was zero evidence such an affair ever happened. The real challenge for investigators wasn't just wild stories, it was that every rumor brought its own motive and its own list of enemies. The streets were full of whispers, but nobody was ready to speak. That maze of rumors kept the investigation stuck in circles for years. With no one willing to break the silence, the truth about who entered 24/7 studio and why stayed locked away. But Jay's story wasn't just about beefs or debts. To understand his death, you have to understand his life. Jason Mizell, born January 21st, 1965 in Brooklyn, raised in Hollis, Queens. By the early 80s, he had become Jam Master Jay, the iconic DJ of Run DMC, with Joseph Run Simmons and Daryl DMC McDaniels on the mic.
And me, if you with me. So there's a bridge area almost on the record. And I learned to do those different things under Jay's tutelage. So You know, he's definitely been influential in my career.
They didn't just chase hits, they broke barriers. Run DMC was the first rap group to go gold, the first to go platinum, the first to hit MTV with their videos. They even stormed American Bandstand. In 1986, their classic Raising Hell went platinum, powered by It's Tricky, It's Like That. And their culture-shaking crossover with Aerosmith, Walk This Way. That collab didn't just top charts. It dragged rap into rock arenas and changed music forever. Run DMC carried more than music. They carried a message. Anti-drug campaigns, PSAs, and lyrics warning kids away from gangs made them trusted heroes in their own communities. Their legacy was cemented when they entered the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2009 and earned the first Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award in rap by 2016. Jam Master Jay's status looked untouchable. Fans saw a hip-hop icon, a mentor, a community leader. But the truth was more complicated. Offstage, Jay was facing crushing financial pressure, and those hidden battles, not the wild rumors, pushed him into choices that turned fatal.
Master Jay really worked with 50 to kind of help him structure his raps and everything?
Jam Master Jay taught 50 structure.
By the late 90s, the glory days had faded. Run DMC wasn't selling out arenas anymore, and the money was shrinking. For Jay, the man once at hip-hop's epicenter, the reality was brutal. His label JMJ Records, launched in '89, had made waves by signing Onyx and later giving 50 Cent his break. But the label struggled to survive in a new music era. The debts piled high. By the early 2000s, Jay owed the IRS almost $500,000. Still, he couldn't stop giving. He paid his mother's bills, sent cousins to school, covered his sister's mortgage, supported his wife and kids. Jay's generosity was endless, but it bled him dry. That pressure pushed him to a dangerous crossroad. The man who once preached, "Stay away from the streets," stepped into the drug game himself. Federal prosecutors would later suggest it was this decision, not industry politics, that tied him to the men accused of taking his life.
After a disagreement between Washington and another participant, Mizell cut Washington and Jordan out of the deal.
Platinum Records couldn't keep the lights on. With taxes overdue, bills climbing, and friends and family relying on him, Jay was trapped in a financial storm. To keep it all afloat, he gambled with the same streets he once warned the world to avoid, and it cost him everything. According to prosecutors, Jam Master Jay crossed into a world no one saw coming. He became a middleman, not a street hustler, not a kingpin, but a connector arranging kilo deals to cover debts the music industry couldn't. It started small, then came Uncle, Terry Southwest T. Flannery, co-founder of the feared Black Mafia family.
Carl Jordan and Ronald Washington were charged with murdering Mizell after they learned that they were about to be cut out of a $200,000 drug deal.
To the drug world, he was a unicorn plug. Resources, reach, and a reputation that demanded respect. With Uncle in the picture, Jay's hustle expanded. Bigger deals, more money, and way more danger. The kind of company where one wrong move could mean death. But before the side hustle, Jay's biggest investment was human. A kid from Queens named Curtis 50 Cent Jackson. Back in 1996, when others brushed him off, Jay saw a promise. He signed 50 to JMJ Records and took him under his wing. In the booth, Jay taught him discipline, crafting hooks, structuring songs, making music that stuck. Jay taught me about choruses, about counting bars with a metronome, 50 said years later. He made me think about songs, not just rhymes.
It cannot bring Mr. Mizell back, but my sincere hope is that it brings some closure and solace to his family, his friends, his fans, and all those who love and appreciate.
DJ Clark Kent remembered Jay saying, "This kid's gonna be huge." Tony Yayo confirmed it. Jay was the one who gave 50 his real start. Jay wanted to lift 50 out of the streets and into the charts. But tragedy struck first. Jay never lived to see the hits, the tours, the global takeover. And in the aftermath, that very connection to 50 Cent lit the fuse on one of the longest running theories in hip-hop. That mentoring 50 and the enemies it brought was part of what got Jay killed. On October 29th, 2002, the mood at 24/7 Studio was pure celebration. Jam Master Jay was glowing with pride. 50 Cent had just inked his deal with Dr. Dre and Eminem. Jay's cousin Stephen Watford remembered it clearly. He was so happy, we laughed, we cried. Jay soaked in the moment like a coach watching his star player win it all. But one day later, joy turned to silence. That night of laughter was Jay's last, and soon the whispers came fast. Jay had paid the price for standing by 50 Cent when the rest of the industry abandoned him. 2 years earlier, 50 had survived a near-fatal ambush, 9 bullets outside his grandmother's home. Rumors linked the shooting to his song Ghetto Quran, which many claimed exposed Queens' street bosses. Afterward, a silent blacklist spread through the industry. Record execs avoided him. Names like Murder Inc. and Kenneth Supreme McGriff swirled in the talk. But Jay stayed loyal. He kept 50 in the studio when others ran. To some, that loyalty looked like defiance of dangerous men. To others, it was the perfect motive to kill him. Many believed the streets had silenced Jay for refusing to abandon 50 Cent, but the truth wasn't about rap beefs. It was about money and betrayal. In August 2002, Jay took 10 kilos of cocaine on consignment worth nearly $200,000 bound for Maryland. He brought in Ronald Washington and his godson Carl Jordan Jr. to help move it. Then came the fallout. Dealer Ralph Yaki Mulgrave refused to deal with Washington due to bad blood. Jay made the call. Washington and Jordan were cut out. That choice, prosecutors argued, sparked the betrayal that ended with his murder in his own studio. The fallout wasn't just financial, it was betrayal. And in the world Jay had stepped into, betrayal demanded blood. Prosecutors framed it as a cold-blooded crime driven by money and revenge. After 20 years of silence, witnesses finally spoke. They described Washington holding the door, weapon ready, while Jordan walked straight up to Jay and shot him. Later, they even bragged, one saying if Jay lived, he'd kill him again. The verdict was more than justice. It answered the question haunting hip-hop for 22 years. Jay's murder wasn't about rap beef, McGriff, or blacklist. It was the cruel truth of men he knew, trusted, and helped turning on him. The bitter twist? Jay, who stood tall for 50 Cent when it was dangerous to even be in his corner, wasn't killed by that risk. He was taken out by greed within his own circle. That's how the story of Jam Master Jay finally closed, brutally and completely. Drop your thoughts below, hit that like, and subscribe for more untold hip-hop stories.